Hello and welcome to this preview of the 2018 Premier League Grand Finals, brought to you by Hockey Tasmania and our good friends over at Elite Mouthguards. I'm the coordinator of the Premier League hockey coverage, Scott Edwards, and joining me tonight is the Chief Mercury hockey reporter, Adam Clifford, and former Hockeyroo, former ABC TV commentator, Vanessa McDonald. Thank you for joining me both.
Thank you.
Now we're going to have a look at the Grand Finals in a minute, but first up we've had the Southern Hockey League Association Awards. There was a presentation dinner on Saturday night, and we've got a few winners to mention. So we'll throw to you first, Vanessa, with the umpires of the year.
Yeah, so the men's umpire of the year went to Travis Creswell, who's done a really consistent job throughout the season and duly noted by receiving that award. And Brodie Foster in the women's has won that award, and Brodie's had a really good, consistent year. It's a hard job being an umpire and a very thankless task. So, well done to the umpires, and without them, our game doesn't flow.
And the goal scorers, leading goal scorer winners, Adam?
Yeah, a couple of returning winners again. So Ash Arthur, a standout year with 15 goals. She won by about 4, clear of a teammate, Sophie Villarengo, and it was really critical because Sophie, I think, scored a bag of 4 or 5 in one game, drew within a goal of Ash, and then she went into the midfield and was still able to keep finding the back of the net. So well done to Ash there for her third victory. And in the men's competition, it was a really close run race with Jai Walker-Kidd, Oliver Arnold, Ben Reid, but 5 goals in the final round game, which is a pretty phenomenal effort. I remember Marcus Richardson doing that about a decade ago, scoring 5 against Canterbury to clinch the award over Oliver Close, and Sam was able to replicate that success this year for his 5th win, and particularly phenomenal when you think that he's not a penalty corner specialist. They're mostly all field goals, and he's a fearless striker that throws himself at absolutely any opportunity, and thoroughly deserved.
And the big awards, or the main awards that everyone kind of looks towards at the end of the year, is the Association Best and Fairest. And Vanessa, you got the winner of the women's.
Yes, Louisa Jacobson romped it in from Northwest Grads. Louisa has had a breakout year, playing as a front sweeper, had that freedom this year with Emily Newbold unavailable to play, and has taken on that challenge, driven the young defenders forward, and a player that just is there, a barometer, moves the ball really quickly. She can break lines, move forward, she's fit, she's running back, reverse pressure, and also to a really lovely, positive person on the field as well. So a well-deserved award, and she did win it by quite a considerable margin.
And it was a pretty standout year from Louisa. She's taken that young Northwest defence, and they've conceded just 9 goals. I mean, that's a pretty extraordinary effort just on that account. Oh,
phenomenal. And, when I interviewed her for the newspaper to celebrate her win, she was very quick to pass on her thanks to her teammates for their work that they've done in supporting her. She's enjoyed stepping out of Emily Newbold's shadows, if you like, but she's a standout player, and I'm looking forward to seeing her play for the Van Diemen's in October down here as well. She's great talent.
And you've got the men's winner?
Yeah, it was a really interesting count. A lot of players in the running in the last couple of rounds, and Nick Leslie for me had a standout year and a phenomenal job he's done, not just as a coach but as a playing coach. It really came into his own when he moved from the free defender into midfield, and one of the key things for Nick has been he stayed injury free as well, and I'm just really delighted that he's nominated for the Tassie Tigers as well. And then 2 votes to Sam McCulloch in the last round meant that he was able to share the award with Nick Leslie. Somewhat interestingly, even by Sam's own admission, that he got 2 votes in the final round in an 8-2 loss, but he had an absolute breakout year for a 19-year-old to continually display the consistency and the dynamic play. He's able to carry the ball from the half line into the circle and score, and he's a real talent. So excited to see what he can produce in the Australian Hockey League this year as well.
And good to see the emergence of a young player stepping up into, that elite level of the sport now, and can score goals from the field and from the penalty corner.
Absolutely. Sam's so quick, and his ability to break lines but also run with the ball at speed is a very important skill in hockey. And also too, he's a young player, and he's really stood up. The Canterbury side sort of has struggled in the last couple of seasons, and he's certainly a target and go-to. His reverse pressure is exemplary, so really pleasing for him. But Nick Leslie is a great player to watch, really good role model for hockey. He's composed, he's calm, and he leads by example with his work rate on and off the field.
And I must say, Scotty, commiserations to Hayden Belts, because if his cheek hadn't caught the end of my hockey stick, he only finished 2 votes off it and had a phenomenal season in an underperforming side as well. So well done, Hayden. I vote you.
And congratulations again to all the winners of the Southern Hockey Association Awards. We're going to move on. A quick look at the preliminary finals. A big game, Northwest versus Derwent. Close run thing, but Northwest ran away with it in the end.
Yes, it was. I mean, it was very close up until half time, but Northwest Grads, they just got over the line. And what really was the key was that Sophie ended up getting in front of one of her markers at the back. She's so quick and able to roll off players that she left the tyre treads in the wake of the defender and found the net. And I think that was the key, is that if you don't mark the Northwest Grads strikers really closely and in front, you'll pay the price, and that's what happened.
But of course, Derwent, it's not all a bad thing. They've made a prelim. They've had a great year.
I look to come from 5th with the young squad that they've got. I thought players like Sarah Robinson, and Jess Tremaine, did really good leading roles. But Lauren Canning, Sophie Rockefeller, Ruby Bailey, I could just keep whittling names off of really talented youngsters coming through into doing stocks. So it bodes well for the future, Scotty.
Yeah, and I also like to say too that they've got a really nice blend at the moment of some more senior players, plus they've got their young ones. So it's, you really need that in a group of players, and Derwent have got that now. So let's hope that they stay together for a couple of seasons, because I think they'll be the one on the rise next year.
And the men's prelim final, shock result in a sense, although not quite a shock result, I guess, if you look at how the competition has played out during the year. But Northwest out in straight sets.
Yeah, and look, they'll be disappointed. They'll look to their wastefulness in the attacking circle as a key part of why they've been bundled out, if you like. But you look at the back half of university's season. I think they've won 7 of their last 9 games, Scotty, beaten everyone in the competition in that time. They're full of confidence. They never stop believing. They're a lot more disciplined than they have been in previous years at the moment, and are drawing a lot of confidence from their performances. And look, they rode their luck a little bit at times, some gallant defending on the goal line. But Jaden Pearson, I think he stopped 14 penalty corners in the last 2 weeks alone, was critical as well to them staying with Northwest graduates and giving themselves hope and an opportunity.
And Tyler Wolfe running down 3 penalty corners in a row. How crucial was that at that time of the game?
It was very crucial, because Northwest Grads, they've got a very good corner battery, and he ran the gauntlet straight down the guts, as you say, and he copped a couple on the foot, but he didn't stray at all. He just ran straight down that battery, and they did have to change at one time, but it didn't come out as well as what they'd liked. But yeah, very good running. He's so quick over probably the last 2 metres getting to the penalty corner flicker. So great work by Tyler, and he'll be certainly hand up again for this weekend, I would think.
It must be said, Scotty, that going into the final series, Paul Anker would have been expecting lots from his more experienced players, but it's been the younger ones that have really stepped up. That goal by Oscar Ince was absolute class. Ashby Bingham to come off the bench. I don't know if he'd played in regulation time, but he came on to get the penalty stroke. Tyler McDonald, the young boy at the back, having a phenomenal back end of the season. So I think that's what would give Paul Anker the most pride, is the development of the young players, particularly the last few weeks.
Well, let's turn our attention to the big dance on Saturday, the grand finals. This is it for the season. Winner takes all. There's a lot on the line. The Women's Premier League Grand Final, I mean, this is what we've been building to all year, really, hasn't
absolutely. I mean, it's game on Saturday, and I think this will be a really, really great game, and I'd really like to hope we get to see lots and lots of goals scored from both sides. We see a lot of free flow play. Both sides are very quick up front. They are fairly ruthless at the back, both of them, but I think it might even come down just to how they use the ball in their attacking 25. Both are very good defensive units, and they'll probably have to change the way that they go and approach going into their attacking 25 to get outcomes, because they're very stingy at the back, both of them.
And of course, Northwest Grads, dual defending premiers. They're going for the 3rd in a row. OHA, last year's Wooden Spooners. I mean, what more can you say about this kind of matchup other than whoever wins is going to be a pretty phenomenal story to tell?
Oh, exactly right, Scotty. But 2 weeks ago I was sitting here saying I thought North West Grads would win it, and having watched the semi-final, I'm now sort of starting to lean towards OHA because just their ability to break lines, to counter-attack with speed and with skill, they looked quite a force to me in that semi-final. And with all their players back now, I think they lost Sarah McCambridge about three-quarter time in that final, and they still coped and managed that high-pressure situation without her. So she will come back in and be a key target for them. Where North West Grads, they're very well structured, very well disciplined, but they probably just lacked a little bit of creativity against OHA. So it'll be interesting to see if they've tweaked anything during the week.
And a bit of a fun fact.
We like fun facts.
2016, North West lose the semi-final, win the prelim and go on and win the grand final. 2017, North West lose the semi-final, win the prelim and go on and win the grand final. 2018, they lose the semi-final, win the prelim. Is this just what this North West team needs to do? They need to go the long way around in order to build up momentum.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you always think, is it better to have the week off or is it better not to have the week off? And sometimes you might pay the price with an injury or anything like that. But if you go on form, I just think that OHA really looked far more dangerous up front and more creative. And I wonder, what's going to be the plan B for North West Grads if it's still really tight? What are they going to do to change things? I know that OHA will try different things. They'll throw different people forward and they're prepared to take that risk. And it'll be interesting to see what North West Grads do. If it is really tight, what they do and what they change to try and get that extra grasp on the game and change it.
Yeah, a lot relying on last year's player of the final, Sophie Vierengo, who scored a hat-trick in last year's grand final. A lot riding on her shoulders, I think, from North West Grad's perspective. If she gets off the leash, all well and good for the Bulldog fans, but she's got to get the ball in the right areas as well, Scotty.
Yep. There is a little bit of support there for her, though, this year. I think last year she probably had a bit of a bit more responsibility on the solo performance, but this year the form of Emily Diven, I think she's scored 8 goals this year, and Grace Calvert has been a great addition into that team, moving over from Canterbury. I think she's scored about 10 goals, but I mean, Sophia is going to have a lot of support, and of course Ash Arthur with 15 goals. That forward group, if they can fire, it might not all fall on her shoulders.
No, I'm a big Grace Calvert fan. She's good on both sides of her body and able to run and carry and get into dangerous areas. Sophie McLeod's going to have a job of tracking Ash Arthur's runs into the attacking circle because she does like to arrive around the spot area late. But I got the shock of my life when Grace Calvert wasn't on in extra time 2 weeks ago because I thought she was just the sort of person that would perform well with the extra space that's afforded in the drop-offs. So I'll be interested to see how if they do anything different.
And for OHA, Nellie Painter scores the golden goal against North West. She's had a great last month or so of form, capped it off in that semi-final. How big is her performance going to be on the day?
Look, her role will be huge, along with Laura Spandler and Julia Gunn. We always keep saying that these young players are crucial, and Nellie Painter really stepped up in that first semi, and she was busy the whole game, and she got lots of ball, and she was able to move the ball forward as well. But also too, you've got to be consistent within the game, and you can't hide. You've got to keep presenting, and as young players, sometimes it's really hard to know how to keep yourself involved in the game. And I think if those three in particular, we know the usual suspects will work hard in Sarah McCambridge and Sophie McLeod and Jean Flanagan at the back. We know they'll work hard the whole game. It's really important that we get those young players really consistent, and that's for North West Grads as well. Those young players, get them up and going, keep them really busy through the whole game, keep presenting, and interesting outcome, I would think.
I think Susan Brooks has a key role off-field to play with that OHA side, having been the Wooden Spooners last year. Sophie and Sarah weren't part of the side last year either, so they're going to have their own, butterflies in their stomach going into the grand final day. So I think Susan Brooks behind the scenes has a big role to play with such a massive young players at their disposal. Yeah,
and she did come on for probably in that third quarter, and she did provide some stability at the back because obviously when Sarah went off, she just provided that, calm, easy manner and just got everyone back onto their lines and was calling, and she's such a good player to be able to make sure there's all the good cover defence back there, and she's tight, plus she can move forward with the ball as well. So
she's a good defender to be able to call on as a substitute, isn't she?
Absolutely.
Can you tip a winner?
I'm still going with what I said in the first semi. I think OHA have just got that little bit of X factor, and I think it'll be tight. Once again, it'd be great to see some goals, but I think also too it'll come down to the short corners as well. And both haven't had a huge success from short corners. Probably OHA might tip. Northwest grads tend to rely on a lot of deflections.
Yeah.
Ash Arthur has actually scored a couple of nice goals flicking on penalty corners, but I think maybe that OHA might be able to get a few across the line, but yeah, still tipping OHA.
Yeah. Bring it to from you.
OHA in a shootout.
Oh, well, there we go.
That's a big call.
It might be a really interesting end to the match. For me, I think history, I can't deny history, and I can't deny the season Northwest have had. They went through the season undefeated, one loss against OHA admittedly, but I think they've done this before. They know what they're doing, and I think it's going to be 3 in a row for this exceptional Northwest graduates team. Let's turn our attention to the men's game though, and this one, well, who would have really picked it at the start of the year? OHA versus University, two teams. Well, I guess OHA expected to drop away. University expected to probably finish the regular season much higher, but they're here at the end of the day. They're the ones contesting it.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. 10 weeks ago we were talking about could Canterbury leapfrog University and get that fourth and final spot, and yet here we are, grand final week, and they're there, and they're an absolute live chance, Scotty. The way University play with that direct counter-attacking sort of style means that they're going to be in any game and create chances. It's just whether or not they can keep their discipline, get enough out of their role players and their lesser lights to make sure they're in the game for long enough to exert that pressure on OHA. OHA will go in as huge favourites, and rightly so. They haven't missed a beat with Nick Leslie taking over from Daniel Sproul. If anything, they're probably a little bit more of a direct side than they were under Sproul, with James Thomas in particular taking a lot of free hits and looking long to people like Sam McCambridge, who's got speed, people like Kurt Mackey picking the ball up going forward. So they're a different side, which means I think we're in for a high scoring and a game that's going to have lots of chances and lots of excitement.
And these two teams have gone at it in high goal scoring games all season.
Absolutely.
You expecting the same as well?
Yep, and it's the battle of the short corners. Definitely this game. Both keepers, Jaden Pearson's in amazing form the last 2 weeks. He's been up and about. He's come out at the right time. He's been really aggressive to the ball. And young Henry Chambers, first year in as Premier League keeper, he's done a really good job. He's been very consistent throughout the year. Both have kept well with their short corners. And obviously Ben Reid on the post for Uni's saved quite a few on that left-hand side, and I think JT's done exactly the same thing, so they'll be just looking and eyeballing each other the whole game, I think. So very exciting, and well worth coming out watching just for the short corner battery between these two guys.
This would be 4 in a row though for OHA. If they manage to pull this off, considering how much turnover they've had in players throughout the season, is this the big story, or is University the fairy tale first grand final since 2005? Which one's the biggest story out of those two?
Well, 4 in a row would be massive. There's not too many sides that can actually boast 4 in a row within this competition. Obviously, Uni will be a fairy tale for them. Everyone has their own story, don't they? And they've got people within the club that have gone through hard times, injury, whatever. So for either team, whoever wins this match, there'll be lots of good stories come out of it.
One of those ones, Jeremiah Walter from OHA, he's probably one of the lesser known players, but he turned himself into a very useful Premier League midfielder. But his story is he missed the 2016 Premiership success through injury. He missed last year's Premiership success through injury. He's injured again. The word is that he's just about right, but is it going to be the year when that kind of story comes out, when the guy who has just missed out gets to come in and get the fairy tale ending?
Yeah, it could be, Scotty. Young Smithton product that comes good in 2018. So Jeremiah, he hasn't played since round 18, where I think he did his hammy. And I spoke to Nick Leslie just today about him, and he's got to get through training this week, and if so, he'll play on Saturday. So that would be a fantastic individual story. But there's lots of great stories all over the park. The young boys like Josh Commons and stuff that travel down, twice a week, each and every week, to play for University. He'd be absolutely pinching himself that he's going to be playing in front of a couple of thousand people on grand final day this year. But, I just think OHA, to lose the calibre of players they've lost over the last couple of years and remain at the top of the mountain, if you like, and in their fourth grand final in a row, speaks volumes for the work they do with their junior development and the culture they've got in the club. So it's going to be a really interesting, fascinating game. It's going to have plenty of chances, and it'll be really interesting to see who can put some scoreboard pressure on early in the match.
Well, do you have a tip for me? Who's going to win this one?
Oh, look, as someone who's played 11 years with the university, I'd absolutely love them to get up, and it smacks of when Derwent won their first flag about 10 years ago. They just crept into the finals and just kept building and drew that confidence there. But, it's hard to look past OHO the season they've had and the players that they've got. Their A-grade talent is proper A-grade.
Yep. And you'll have a little bit of a biased opinion as well, I guess.
Of course
but
I will.
can you make an objective tip?
I'd like to make an objective tip, but no, I'm going totally with my heart, and my heart's going for uni. But look, I think it's going to be a really exciting match. It's going to be fast, it's going to be quick, there's going to be a lot of emotion in the game as well, and there's just so many good aspects of the game to watch with matchups, short corner attack, defence. Get down and come and watch both these games, because I think it's just going to be amazing hockey this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. If the prelim final between Northwest and University is anything to go by, this is going to be two teams willing to put everything on the line to win that cup, and it's going to be an extraordinary day. No matter what happens, I am tipping OHA. I think the four in a row. I'm a little bit biased, but I think what they've done this year to win the minor premiership and to win that semi-final, I think they deserve to go in favourites, and I think they've got enough about them. With Kurt Mackey back and firing, I think they've got enough about them to win it, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, and I think, look at last year's player of the final in Oliver Smith. There's someone we haven't talked about in our previous coverage a lot, but he loves the big stage, he's blessed with some lovely skills, speed to burn, turns on a die, so there's so many players on either side that could get off the leash and are just so exciting to watch when they're on. So it's sure to have some fireworks this game, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, make sure you get on down to the Tasmanian Hockey Centre on Saturday, September the 15th. For the Premier League Grand Finals. This is the culmination of everything that's happened throughout the season. You can, of course, go back through all the videos that have been posted on our Facebook and YouTube channel and get yourself up to date on how these teams have gone, how players have played. All the highlights and the full games are available, so get on that and boost my views. But make sure you get on down here. Join the crowd. It's going to be a massive day. And I want to thank Vanessa McDonald and Adam Clifford for joining me for these previews. I hope you've enjoyed them. Thank you both for coming along. And I look forward to seeing you all out here at the Tasmanian Hockey Centre.